Yes. تختلف. ولا بس بحث والمنهج واضح طيب وإذا ما تفهم مش في يوتيوب حكم بس المشكلة على المرقة مسألة ما في مشكلة
Shall we start because you want to finish early?
Yeah, it was 12 or less, Doctor.
Okay. Okay, so what were we doing last class?
Orange.
Orange.
Yeah.
We looked at several data mining problems and solutions, right? So do you remember regression problem, real estate problem? We said that there's a data which was containing things like the age of the house and distance from train station and number of stores around it and so on, right? And from that input independent variables, we are trying to predict a dependent variable called price, right?
Yeah.
So if you understand that problem, I'm going to now talk about something more general. And there's something which is being used quite a lot in data mining these days, okay? And this is called neural networks or artificial neural networks, or as some people call it, deep learning, okay? So the original problem was that I showed you earlier about real estate was that you have certain independent variables and you're using them to predict a dependent variable, which was the price, right? You all remember that?
Yeah.
So, but the relationship between age and price and all those things was linear, meaning that we fitted a line, a regression, y equals to mx plus c. I showed you a line, right? Yes.
A moment.
Yeah, yeah. Come.
No, here. I have. Can I ask you a favor? Can I go to our home study because I have this way. I have a question and I come to you immediately. If not, I will stay here.
I will finish early. I will try to finish early. Okay, I will finish early. So, so you understand that this is you're trying to predict. Now I'll take this example, and I'll make this exactly the same case with more complicated situations. Okay, let's take the input, the weather condition outside. Okay, you see clouds, you see maybe like no wind, maybe humid, right?
Each element changes.
Your mind will retake this input, and then your mind will predict that there is a rain, right? You understand? Same thing, exactly the same thing. Take some input and predict, but this time this is more complicated situation than the house, so on, right? So if you're dealing with more complicated situations where regression do not work, then we have something called artificial neural network. And neural network, it basically is something, artificial neural network is something that is inspired from human brain. I give you the example of what you're thinking. So it is done in your head, right, in your brain. So it is, so artificial neural networks tries to copy how the brain works. Okay, so we'll talk more about it. But the result is that it is able to capture more complex predictions, where you are unable to get it done by simple regression. Okay, so you understand, but the idea is still the same. You have input, you have output, and you wanted to predict the output based on certain inputs. Okay, so the application, as I told you, is in a lot in prediction, but the applications can be in more sophisticated areas like finance, like medicine. If you see, a doctor sees certain reports, medical reports, right? Temperature, blood work, and all those things, and based on that report, the doctor predict that you may, God forbid, have a certain disease or no disease, right? So that is also like this is going on regression, right? But a more complicated one. So neural network is like a more complicated form. So whenever you face such a situation, then neural networks are heavily used. And neural networks have become one of the most used technique these days in modern artificial intelligence. All those chat GPTs and image recognitions and everything, the thing that is behind this is this neural network. So all those things that we are fancying about, we talk about fashionably talk about chat GPTs and all those things. The idea behind them is this neural network. So how does neural network work in its simple form? So we need to first quickly understand how human brain works, and then they have tried to copy, the way human brain works. So there is like a cell in your human, in all our brains, which is called a neuron. A neuron is like the model, the regression model, y plus 2mx plus c, the model we're trying to fit. So then we have something called dendrites. Dendrites, you can see here, these are the input to the model. So in human brain, you see input from your eyes, from your ear, from your nose, your senses, right? All those senses go through these inputs go to your neurons. Okay. Then we have axon, as we have written explanation to that. It is like the output or the prediction. So it is coming out. Synapse is like the weight, mx, so m, and then but the thing is that one neuron is not enough. In your brain, how many cells are there? There are billions of cells, right? So many cells are there. When these simple cells are put together, they are able to capture very complicated situations. Okay, so if you see here the neural networks, it is still the same thing. Inputs going into a neuron and you get the output. Now, of course, one course is not enough, but you need to, if you are going to go to a graduate program in computer science or our Master of Science in Business Analytics, our master students are actually using neural networks to do some advanced predictions, right? So it is not an out of reach kind of a technique. You can still learn it. Maybe like you spend 2 months learning neural networks and you'll be able to use advanced neural networks. But certainly not, it is beyond the scope of the course, so we are just giving basic ideas. So it does involve few things that we teach in more advanced levels, like how the information is processed. There's something called structure. So when I said you brain cells, network structure tell you how those cells are connected to each other, how those brain cells are connected to each other, or neurons are connected to each other. Some in neural networks, in brain they are in all different forms, but in neural networks we normally have brain cells normally coming in layers. So 5 cells, 5 cells, 4 cells, 5 cells. So if they are arranged in that form, we call it multi-layer. So just like this, there are some other forms. Recurrent meaning they have like back connection, not just going forward, but back connection. Feed forward means one cell to the second cell to the third cell, and so on. So there are, again, going deep is beyond the scope of the course, but we just need to tell you that different neural networks are based on how the cells or neurons are connected to each other. Okay, and there are so many softwares that are used, and these softwares may come from commercial sources like IBM SPSS Modeler or SAS Enterprise Miner, and some of them are free: Rapid Miner, Vectra, and R. So they forgot to mention a very important free software for neural networks or data mining, which is called Python libraries. Python, in fact, is now above all of them. It is used. If Python is Python has captured, Python libraries have captured perhaps maybe like 60-70% of the market, and the rest are taking care of the rest. The only other thing I wanted to mention here is this R. R is another programming language, but which is also competing quite closely with Python. Okay, so these are the things. Now, the rest are just case studies and so on. So I'm going to skip that portion. Data mining, some myths. You know what is myth? What is reality and what is myth? Myth versus reality. Yeah, myth. Myth is like which is opposite to reality. There's something called reality, right? Something that is going on. The myth is what you assume is going on, but it is not true. Okay? So provides instant solution and prediction. No, you have to build a model, you have to train it, so it does not. It is not yet viable for business applications. No, it is not true. All Aramcos and Sabics, they are all using these data mining these days. That is why your jobs, a lot of jobs are happening in data mining these days in big companies. Okay, requires separate dedicated database. No, you use the same database and you just build a model. I showed you how you work in Orange, right? You have your data in Excel file. I showed your data was in Excel file, right? And you're doing clustering and regression. Can be done by those with advanced degrees. No, I just showed you already started doing that in Orange last class, right? Of course, the more complicated one, you need more advanced degrees, but basic data mining can be done by much less skill. Is only used by large firms that have a lot of data. Small companies are using that. Is another name for good old statistics, which is also not true. Data mining uses artificial intelligence and so on. Common data mining blunders: selecting the wrong problem for the data mining. We have been discussing that last class. You need to understand what you're trying to solve. Is it a clustering problem? Is it a regression problem, right? So you need to understand, what problem you're trying to solve. Not leaving insufficient time for data acquisition. We have been discussing this throughout the course, that your focus is on fancy Orange software and those things, but you forgot that your data has to be prepared, gathered properly. If your data is wrong, your data mine is wrong. So you need to leave enough time for preparing and getting the data and preparing it well. Looking only at aggregated results and not at individual predictions. Being sloppy about keeping track of data mining procedures and results. Meaning that you have to take care of developing the process well. Now, because you wanted to finish early, so I'm going to start the next chapter. I'll just cover for 10 minutes so that I can finish maybe like 11:30, okay? And then we can continue on this chapter. We'll try to finish it in the next class.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let me just go at least 11:30, okay? So. Salam. So there is a request that you have a quiz now, so I'll try to finish a bit early. So you have, it seems like you have operations management quiz.
Yes.
Yes.
Not only operations management. Only, and also we have quality management.
Oh, today?
No.
Tomorrow or something? Yeah, okay. So let us just spend 10 more minutes and then we have enough time, we can just finish the chapter inshallah next class. So web. You remember last class in orange, what was the last bit? Last bit was text mining, right? Sentiment analysis, topic modeling. So this chapter talks about text mining more. We already, although in orange I already started introducing it to you, so you already have some idea, okay? So we'd like to describe text mining and understand why do we need to learn about text mining. And we will touch upon not just text mining but web mining and related areas. So understanding different applications of text mining. So this is something that we will be talking about. Okay. So let's just I'll skip the initial case study. Now we have been training you to use databases and Excels and spreadsheets, right? But majority of them, what is this? Data analyst, you got this badge?
Because of you, Dixar.
Oh, it's because of me. So you got this badge from me? Okay, that's nice. Data analyst. Yeah, sorry. So, so all these, you know, the things that we have been teaching, mostly our focus remained on structured data. Structured data means data in columns and rows and defined rules. Defined rules means numbers with how many decimal places, right? You all, so it is called structured data. But things have changed recently quite a lot, and 80 to 90% of all corporate data these days fall under what is called unstructured data. Unstructured data means think of Apple or Samsung trying to know, what people think about their new model. So where do you think that data can be found? The data can be found on. So if you're working for Samsung and your boss asks you to see what customers think around the world. So where do you think you'll find that data?
Data.
In social media, right? Huge amount of data on Twitter and Facebook and review comments and LinkedIn's and
also tech websites.
Yes, a lot. So you understand what we are saying. So, and all that data, it is called unstructured because they come in all shapes and forms, right? They are like tweets, images, even that people are writing, there are spelling errors and you have to take care of everything, right? Not as organized as the data in your database, which is following strict rules. So unstructured data, mainly text and some text related other things, is what you call unstructured data. And so it makes it so people, because it's a different kind of a data mining, so they separate it from data mining, they call it text mining, because it is normal techniques don't easily work on that. So unstructured corporate data is doubling every 18 months. So companies cannot ignore that anymore. People are discussing it. If some on Amazon, if somebody says that it's a bad phone, it has an impact. Don't you believe that? If you see a comment on a product that you see, it seems like I was trying to buy a lens and I saw bad comments, I did not buy it, right? So comments are important, right? So text mining, so doubling every 18 months. So tapping into these information sources is no more an option. It has becoming a must, to stay competitive. And the answer to that is to deal with data. In order to mine, we use what is called text mining, and I started showing you already the orange use of text mining, just sentiment analysis and topics being discussed and all those things. So it involves a semi-automated process. Why we are calling it not fully automated, semi-automated? Because you still have a part to play. So you will collect all the text and you have to do certain processing before you make it ready for mining. Okay, so it has a part which involves your decisions, your calls, your knowledge and your expertise is involved as a human as well. So text mining is also, by the way, called text data mining. It is also called knowledge discovery in the textual databases. So if you compare data mining with text mining, which we have been seeing in clustering and regression and neural networks, the idea is still the same. You're looking for patterns. Just like in regression and clustering, you're looking for patterns, right? You remember two groups, data going up, pattern. So in text, you already have a pattern. Pattern can be in different forms. People generally are talking good about it. Isn't it a pattern? People saying, nice product, wow, excellent. So that's a pattern. That you're seeing that people, the pattern is people are liking your product. So you can translate that into something we'll see called sentiment analysis. Is the discussion going positive? Is the discussion going negative? Right? Overall. They can be in between some negatives and positive, but overall, what is the pattern? So both seek novel and useful patterns that your company would like to know. Both use semi-automated process, meaning you still have to take part. You remember in clustering, you were deciding, can we use 3? I think some of you asked, can we use 3 clusters, right? So there is a decision part, human decisions are involved in there. Differences is in the nature of the data. So how can you compare between data and text mining? Data mining uses structured data like in Excel, like coming from SQL queries and all those things. And text mining uses unstructured text data. So structured data is mostly stored in databases, and unstructured data coming from Word documents, PDFs, web pages, files, text files, emails, and many other things, okay? So normally what you do is, and how it differentiates text mining from normal data mining is, in text mining you have to take all the text and give a structure to it. And what does that mean? We'll talk inshallah in the next class. We don't have enough time today. I promise to stop early. So we normally have to give a structure to it. And the meaning of what do we mean by giving it a structure, inshallah we'll talk about that in the next class. Okay, so the benefits of text mining is that you will be able to explore a lot about so many things that you are unable to find through normal data mining. Like I told you about what customers are discussing. Are they talking positive? Are they talking negative? You remember one of the orange examples I showed you was called topic modeling. So yes, right? So we did not know, there were hundreds of comments. And what exactly are the customers generally discussing? And our text mining showed that they were discussing mainly 4 things. Battery life, about the phone, camera, and there was like the quality of the sound, the headset, right? But we were able to discover that by the data mining. We did not have to read like 500, 600 comments to see, okay, I use my brain to see, a lot of comments on batteries, a lot of comments on, right? So this text mining just did that in like few seconds, right? Able to discover what is being discussed. Okay, so now the same thing is being happened in academic research. One of our master's students, when she started working on oil, gas transportation area, she found 170 papers, research papers. And she said, how can I read 170 papers? It will take me like 6-8 months to just read. And she used text mining, topic modeling, and she discovered, whatever is being discussed. So very advanced uses. We used to take months just to read those academic papers before we are ready. Medicine. You have all those comments and test results and all those things, so you can use that to diagnosis. Marketing, customer comments. We keep giving those things. Even in your email, text mining applications are there. Spam filtering. You get email with so many things written, and the email client says that I've put that in junk because it looks like a spam. How do you think the email client knew that it's a spam? Because there's text mining going on, and based on the text, features, certain things, it was able to pick that it is actually a spam, right? Not only that, it is these days your clients are categorizing emails, focused emails, like non-focused emails and all those things, right? So all those things are going on based on text mining. I think I'm going to just do this slide and then I will stop. So topic tracking, summarization of knowledge, categorization of ideas, clustering of concepts, concept linking. Have you been using those WhatsApp automated message replies? Text mining, they are able to respond to your questions, right? And sometimes on the web they are automated.
I'm using a track number and he responds to you immediately.
Yeah, that's text mining. They are able to see what you are trying to say, and then based on that, they are able to respond. But able to see what your text, able to analyze your text to see what you're trying to ask and respond accordingly, right? So I'm going to stop here as promised. I'm going to stop early. So please prepare for your quizzes. And inshallah, but next class this chapter is a little longer, so we had to split it in two, but inshallah we'll try to finish it next class.
No problem.
We'll have
Next
our
class,
second quiz.
take
Yeah.
the full time.
When we will have our second quiz?
Good question. I think we don't have a second quiz.
Oh, great. Great news.
We don't have a second quiz. We just have a project to do.
Great.
Next class is important because I'm going to bring project details to you. Please, all of you attend, okay? Because you don't want